All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Paul Michele from Navionics, and this is a webinar on functions and features on the Navionics app and a little bit about reading contours. This is co-marketed with our good friends over at CITO, so I assume most people here are valued CITO members and want to learn a lot more about boating, fishing, contours, and how to use the Navionics app on your mobile or on your tablet. So I'm going to run through here with our PowerPoint, talk a little bit about each of the features with the app. The webinar should be probably about 30 minutes or so as far as the PowerPoint, but I'll try to keep it shorter if I can and leave enough time for questions at the end. I've got a couple polls I'll ask you as well, but I'm going to start here with opening up my PowerPoint here and sharing my screen with all of you. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen here. So features of the Navionics app. Real quick, I saw some questions earlier here before we started the webinar on exactly, what the name of the app is and so forth. This is the icon that you can look for on the Google Play Store or on iTunes. Those of you very quickly who are not familiar with Navionics, Navionics started with a two-man show actually back in 1984, and I'm not going to read all this, but started with that and started with different countries and real passion and pride in developing products for safer and easier navigation. Today, Navionics, which is purchased by Garmin, we're now a Garmin company, employs over 400 enthusiastic persons through Navionics, mainly located USA, Italy, and India for Navionics with sales and service all over the world. Basically, to cut to the chase, what makes us different is we're all avid boaters, fishermen, skiers, sailors, cruisers. We believe in the product, we use it, so we like to come out with product that works for people, not just have something out there and not use it ourselves. It's something that we review, we use, and we can alter based on what we think people's needs are for what they come to us on. Navionics does have the world's largest database of marine and lake charts, covering all the salt waters of the world, as well as tens of thousands of lakes and rivers. So navigation app, we are the #1 navigation app on iTunes and Google Play with over 7.5 million apps so far. It is available on mobile and tablet. So before I get too far, just let's see if we can do this. I haven't done a poll in a little while. I'm going to shoot out a quick poll here, and let's just see how many of you can answer this question. This is just going to simply ask so I have an idea of my audience. Whether you've got the paid version of the app, you don't have the app, and kind of what phone you have. So if you're able to answer this, I'm going to just send this out right now. It should pop up on your screen. You've got a few choices, so I want to kind of see what my audience is here. Little market research for everybody that signed on as well. Right, interesting. A lot of iPhone users, it appears so far. Droid isn't too far behind though. But very interesting, a lot of you have I'd say you've got about half, little under half have our paid version. Another little under half don't have the app yet. So those that don't have the app will have an opportunity to see a little bit about what the app can do for you. And I see some of you have the free version. So I'm going to end the polling here. And for those of you, I'll just share results real quick in case you're curious to see. So we've got a lot of paid versions, not far behind as little yet, and a lot of iPhone people on here. So one of the things we're going to talk about is most everything you're going to see here that relates to the app also does work on Droid. There may be a few odds and ends that don't, but we are working to keep that consistent across all platforms. So I'm going to jump into here on the webinar a little more. So one of the most common things I hear is, well, I can use the app, up until I lose my cell service. One of the things I want to point out is our app does work without a cell signal. So as long as you've downloaded the area, this is a great backup, not just something you can play with at home. We'll talk more about that, but it is an excellent backup. We have countless stories of people that have used the app where their electronics were hit by lightning or they lost GPS or whatever may happen. They were using the app to actually get back to dock. So as long as you have the area downloaded, the mobile phones do have a GPS in it and they will get you home using the app. So you do not need a cell signal. Okay, on the app, you're going to notice a couple layers, and you can see kind of down here the little Navionics icon on the bottom left. This is the Nautical layer. This is the layer that gives you all your boating information, all your buoys, your basic depths, your sandbars, and so forth. On that same little button, you're also going to see come up is the Sonar Chart. The Sonar Chart is the 1-foot contours for fishing, or if you're in particular interested in sailing and cruising. I just want to check something real quick and make sure I don't have any issues. I see a lot of questions coming up. Okay, so I'm going to close this back a minute here. I'll come back to questions. Okay, so this is the Sonar Chart layer, and this is where we launch a lot of the new data, both recorded from users and as we get new information. Again, this is your little blue button here down on the left for those of you that have the app or looking to purchase the app. You can also check out icons with points of interest on the app. So as you go through on the Navionics app, you'll see different things that'll pop up that you'll be able to look at. So for example, here you've got, restaurants, bars, marine shops, diving shops. So when you're on the water, or even if you're planning to be on the water, you can use the app and take a look and see what points of interest are in your area to be able to boat to them. Weather is on the app. With the app, this is near my hometown here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. You can click on the app itself and you see the little question mark. If you tap on that question mark, it's going to open up. To your left here, you'll have your weather. You're going to have your wind. You'll have your tide stations. You can access buoys. You can look at tides. You can look at currents. So everything's all in one location that you're able to look at, whether you're on the water or you're sitting at home planning to head out the next day. Those of you that may not have boats, if you're on a buddy's boat, certainly a nice thing to talk about while you're sitting at home before you're headed out in the morning, saying, hey, where are we going to head tomorrow? Take a look at some spots that we want to go. Adding a marker. When you're on the water, you can add markers to the Navionics app. Simply click again on that little crosshair on the screen, tap on your question mark, and then you can simply add the marker, as in, hit the marker there where you can say, add the marker and then name it to whatever you want to name it, and we'll save it on your phone. Make sure you do have an account registered, because that way you can sync it to the cloud. Should you ever need to, in case you lose your phone, and not that any of us have ever dropped a phone in the water, but in case you have, this will save your waypoints for your next phone when you reload the app. Dock-to-dock auto routing. Now, dock-to-dock auto routing is a feature that is now also available on Raymarine and on the Lowrance and Simrad products, as well as our app, where this will automatically route you to from where you are to where you want to go based on your boat settings. Simply click on route, and you can click on the dock-to-dock auto routing. This will automatically let you touch. I touched the little blue button here, so that's where I want to start. I'm going to say I want to leave the river. I want to run offshore. It will automatically calculate where you need to go to based on, again, your boat settings. It'll tell you how long to get there, what your fuel consumption is, how far it is. So it gives you all this information right out of the gate, and that's what we call the dock-to-dock auto routing. Now, one of the questions came up on, is there a way to do this from PC to your iPhone to your plotter? So on the Navionics website, if you have our app and you've registered on our website, you can go to the Navionics chart viewer. Okay, and on that chart viewer, and again, I've got in big red letters, must be signed in with the same as your mobile account. You can click on route, and you can create a single waypoint. You can create an entire route. You can create multiple routes, and you'll be able to save them. When you go to save them, you're going to see I put little arrows here. So I've made my route going from, a little point down here. Just a very simple route, jumping around on a couple of fishing locations. So that's the one arrow here in the middle. I'm going to name the route. So I could call it Paul's Fishing Spots. And then I'm going to save it. What's going to happen is when I save that to the Navionics chart viewer under my account that is the same as the app, when I next open up my Navionics app, that information will be on my app. So I can sit on the PC, which is one of the questions, on the Navionics chart viewer, create a route, create waypoints. It will then show up on my Navionics app. Now, to get that to the plotter, if you have a Raymarine with Wi-Fi, a Simrad, an HDS unit, any of those units, or an Elite TI that has Wi-Fi, and you have an active Navionics chart, you can then sync your iPhone through Wi-Fi to that, open up the app, and it will share to your plotter. You're going to have to go under Files, and that's on the Navionics website. If you go there, you can look up Plotter Sync, and that will tell you exactly what folder to pull it out from. So you can go PC to mobile phone to your plotter, and you can also go plotter to your mobile phone as well if you want to back up your waypoints. So this is a very important feature for those of you that like to sit at home, and like I do, and figure out where you're going to head tomorrow and put a plan together as far as where you're going to boat, cruise, sail, or fish. You can enter lat longs under the Navionics app. So if you go under search, you can click the lat longs, enter lat long, and then create waypoints. Breadcrumb trails. All you got to do is hit the little start button down there, and it will draw your little yellow line showing where you're going so you can track your path back home. You can also do a track or past info with a playback feature. That playback feature will show you exactly what your max speed was, your time, your distance, your average speed, and you can kind of play it back and forth. A little pin that's down here will move around. You can actually have a little bit of a playback of your trip if you wanted to kind of see where you went. Tides, as I mentioned, the tide icons are on the app. You click on the app, or excuse me, click on the tide station with the crosshair, hit the question mark. That's going to pull up your sunrise, your moonrise, sunset, moonset, and then you can actually scroll on the bottom to get your various tide details. Just a reminder, I see a lot of questions coming up. I will address questions towards the end of this. I'm kind of running through a little bit all the features fairly quickly, but I want to get through them all, and then I'm going to address all the questions at the end. So be patient with me on that one. Community edits. What a community edit is, and this is also on the plotter, this is where users of the app can add information to the app that is local knowledge. For example, here you can see there's a little fishing icon in the cove. There's a dive icon. So these are areas that people have decided to share with other users so that you too can know this is a good dive location, or if there's a gas station that's there, updated marina info. So this is very much a community generated information. In fact, if any of you are located here in Florida, we did a big Irma campaign to remap South Florida. We actually worked with NOAA and our community out here that have apps. And I believe we had over 500 community edits added in a month that marked various debris through South Florida. So that one, safety, you know where the debris is, and two, an opportunity for NOAA to go and review those edits to be able to pick up the debris. So a very useful feature. Measuring distance, if you're curious how far something is on the app, you can click on that, drag your pins out, put the little icon here at the bottom right. This will allow you to measure distance in your headings. Easy View. Easy View brings up, if you have an iPad on the boat, for example, or if you forget your glasses and you don't need to hold your phone this far away, Easy View will allow you to increase all of the font, all of the contours, the spot soundings, anything on the app jumps up much larger, so it's a little easier to read. Fishing range. When you look under your advanced map options, your fishing range allows you to highlight in white, and this also is on your Raymarines and your Navico products with the Navionics card. You can highlight specific depths that'll show up in white. For example, here, if you look to the left, I've selected fishing range 19 to 33 feet. Anything now in 19 to 33 feet is shown in white. Now, I labeled as fishing in quotes because this is also useful for those of you who are here that are cruisers and sailors that want to make sure you're not getting too low for your keel and want to stay in a safe zone, or you've got new boaters. Hey, look, stay in the white. This is the area you want to boat and cruise. This will keep you out of harm's way. So this is very useful if you're looking into new inlets, if you're sailing and cruising, especially into the Bahamas, or just, again, any new area. You can highlight it white. As long as you're in the white, you're in that safe area. Another one is the shallow area options. You can highlight shallow area. You can see here it comes up all in the red dots. In this case, I made it to 15 feet. Anything 15 feet and below is highlighted with the little red markers. This is also available on plotters as a feature. Water level adjust is not available on plotters as of today, but this is where you can use the Navionics app to adjust a water level. So for example here, the water level adjustment is 0. You can see here I have water level at 0. So this is the same area we were looking at before. If for some reason the water drops down 16 feet, it adjusts all those contours 16 feet. So now that area that was water is now showing as land. All of your contours are still there, but the spot soundings have now been adjusted. So if you're on lakes and you're concerned about water level drop down, or again, if you're sailing, boating, and cruising, and you're concerned about tide, you can certainly adjust how that chart looks by the tide on the app and be able to see exactly where you want to go and stay safe in your boating. Satellite overlay. Satellite overlay is available on the app, and this is also through Platinum charts if you're running a Navionics Platinum Plus. This is where you put satellite overlay. If you have a chart plotter and you're running this, this is what your shade down or your transparency setting looks like. If you click on that and put your transparency, you can still see the satellite overlay with your contours through it. It's a nice feature to be able to see the reefs a little bit, see some of the creeks, especially if we have people on the webinar tonight that are kayakers. Great way to get up in some of the backwaters and the back creeks, or if you just want to see a little bit more information on sandbars with the contours. To update areas, I had mentioned earlier, and those of you who came in late may have missed this, someone asked about updating charts. So Navionics does 2,000 updates per day. You can update those areas on your mobile phone or on your iPad or tablet simply by re-downloading the area. So under your menu, if you've got the paid version or if you're doing the free trial, I encourage those of you who have not tried the app and have it, I think it was 41% of you, give it a shot. There is a free trial. You can play with it for 2 weeks of all the features. Update your area, just draw the little box around that area, hit download, and that will give you the latest information for that area. Again, this is crucial, as we talked about earlier. If you lose your signal, as long as you have the area downloaded, you still can use the app. It still will show your location. Someone, probably at least 5 or 6 people asked about using a Wi-Fi transducer. I had mentioned the Raymarine Y-Fish. I had mentioned Vexillar. You can also use this with any of the Wi-Fi plotters, the Elite TIs, your HDSs, in particular Gen 3s, Simrads, and of course the Raymarine units, all will run SonarChart Live. You can do this on the plotter, or if you've got your Wi-Fi transducer with the app. This is just an example of a lake I was up actually in Canada mapping, where as long as you hold bottom and you run, it will automatically draw brand new contours as you go. So if you're rolling into an area that doesn't have, mapping, you're up into a creek, or you've got a lake that you happen to be on, or you're up on the flats, there's not a lot of mapping. If you turn this on, you yourself can actually chart as you go along and draw instant 1-foot contours. This is kind of the final. Once I had run the lake, I believe this took me, well, it was about 4 hours, but there were a lot of rocks, so I wasn't exactly going high speed, but I've done SonarChart Live as fast as 50 miles an hour. So let's talk a little bit about contours and what we're looking for. So everybody wants to use contours. I'm going to talk a little bit fish-centric here on finding fish. This is a little screenshot here of my Raymarine. You can see the game fish school. You see bait fish, thermocline. So obviously there's a ledge there. So how do we find these contours? What do they look like? So your ledges, here's contours on ledges. Any of your ledges, the easy way I can explain this is picture just a black, thick magic marker line. Each of these contours represents 1 foot. So where that arrow is pointing right here is where the contours have gotten very close together. This indicates a ledge. So anywhere you see those lines together, that's a ledge, and that is a piece of structure that fish will generally hold on to or create upwellings from current. So if you're going to fish this area, for example, anchoring with tide is important. You can see the 2 arrows. If you anchor and the tide's coming in the way the green arrow is, you want to anchor at the end of that arrow so you start chumming, or if you're throwing baits, you're throwing into the ledge. Those fish are sitting in the ledge. You want to get them to come out. Tide's going the other direction. You want to get ahead of it again so that your baits are falling off the ledge. You don't want to be exactly on top of it. It will work, but that's where you're getting a lot of cutoffs and breakoffs, and you may not be pulling as many fish as you want. So keep in mind on your tides, that very much affects where you want to anchor and fish regarding ledges. Same holds true as far as rises and lumps. So looking at this particular example here, you can see the arrow. It's kind of a circle right there. That is a lump that's coming up at 15 foot. We look off to the side, it's dropping out to 28 feet. So this is a rise. Those rises we'll often have fish on top of it, or we'll have a lot of an upwelling. You got to think your current's coming, it's pushing everything up, so your bait's coming up. This is a primary feeding location for game fish that are looking to feed on bait. Same holds true to the outside, again, looking at your tide directions. If you're up at the green arrow at the top, you're getting into this little eddy. It's coming out of deep water, it's hitting up on the lump, and it's causing an upwelling. Your fish are going to be in there feeding. Same thing on the bottom. You've got tide coming around that lump. Those fish are going to sit on the outside, possibly the edge of the tide, and they're going to feed on that. So always think again about your tide and what each of those contours is really showing you. But that's an example of a rise in a lump. Look at your holes and ledges. Again, we talked a moment ago about thick black lines. Here's a great example. Looking at the arrows here, you've got thick ledges, dark lines, like somebody drew a magic marker. That's your ledge. Right here, you've got a hole on this arrow at the top, 15-foot hole next to a ledge. That you could almost guarantee there will be fish there. Now, whether you get them to bite or not, it's a different story. But there will be fish there. That is a ledge. There's a hole. Those fish can sit in there and the current comes to them. They can feed. They can sit against the ledge for cover. This is an area that will generally always hold fish. Here you've got a 14-foot hole in the middle, and then you've got another one off to the side. So anytime you can blend different contours, the idea of fish congregating in that becomes higher and higher. Same thing, you've got weeds mixed with a log if you're freshwater fishing. Anytime those things blend, better chance of fish being there. It's more structure. Docks on a ledge, better chance. Anytime you can combine those things, your percentage gets higher of it better being a fishing spot. Of course, this is also important here in your holes if you are a sailor or a cruiser and you want an anchorage area. You want to be able to locate an area that's got deep water. Obviously, finding these holes is going to be important to you. Same thing here in a river. So if you're up into the rivers, whether you're fishing or trying to anchor, I've added here a hole. You can see a little red arrow pointing to the 15-foot hole. Notice right up here the two little buoys with the plus marks. That's your community edits. So that's where buoys have not yet been added to the main chart, and a very helpful individual locally added those buoys to let you know they're there. The reason I put that X is if the tide is flowing the way that red arrow is, remember we talked about using the contours with current. You want to anchor up ahead of that current so that your bait falls into that 15-foot hole. Your fish are going to sit in that hole, your current's going to go that direction, and your bait's going to fall right where the fish are laying. Anchoring, obviously dropping the anchor on the X, your boat's going to sit in the 15-foot hole. Same kind of rules apply. Area down here in Florida. Now this is obviously very complicated as far as a screenshot, but Boca Grande is pretty much world famous down here in Florida for tarpon and amongst other fish. But here's a great example of your black magic marker ledges. You know, you've got an area here down to the bottom left that's not quite a rectangle or a circle, but this is full of ledges. This is where all your drop-offs are. This is where contours have been dug out by current. You've got holes by this first green arrow and another hole by this other green arrow. And fishing this in the past, a lot of fish will sit off on these holes. But this is how you kind of identify using the charts. Again, think about everything being a desert. Whenever there's a change, that's where the fish are going to cease or going to sit. So if you don't see a lot of contours, may or may not be fish there. But the more contours you can see like this, the more upwellings, the more habitat, the more possibility there will be fish in those areas. Inshore bars, troughs, and holes. Here again, I've labeled some arrows. You've got some oyster bars here on the left. If you're down here in Florida, possible or southeast, possible redfish areas. Got a nice slough that runs through the middle. Certainly an area fish will hang out waiting for bait to come through. And you got some holes off to the edges. Again, thinking current's going to wash down. Doesn't matter if you're offshore, near shore, inshore, contours are always going to be your fish highways. If you can understand kind of how that relates and thinking about it as a road, and again, structure, this is going to help you with not only just fishing, but of course your navigation on where you're going to boat. You've got your oyster bars over here and your drying areas in the green, sandbar here. Obviously you're going to boat, you want to go through the middle of this trough, probably not a good idea to run over the green. You know, any kind of dramatic changes, these are the kind of things you're looking for offshore. You know, here's a hole that comes, or a lump that comes up in both locations. This is going to cause upwellings. You can see my little narrower arrow here running through the middle. This is your trough. This is where current's going to run. Again, offshore trolling, contours out in the big circle. Any kind of change, you know, when you're looking at the ledges off to the left here where my green arrow is, if you're running this, could be fish there. But if you find these changes on your bottom contours, this is where you're going to have a higher percentage of finding fish. Same with the green arrow down. Deep hole right there, going to be an upwelling. Most likely, higher percentage of catching something. So before I get to questions, if you don't have it, I do hope this was helpful. I went through it a little bit quickly, and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. But if you don't have it, you can try the Navionics Plus app for free. Free boating app. It's a 15-day free trial, or $9.99 and a $3.99 renewal. So I thank everybody for being part of the webinar. Let's see, how'd I do? 2 minutes over. So not too bad. So I've got a good 20 minutes here to try to answer questions. I see a number of questions, so I will try to get through them all and try to help the best that I can here in answering all of them. So I'm going to end this PowerPoint here for the moment and go back to full screen. And let's see if I can answer questions. I'm going to use the Q&A here to try to help out the best I can on questions. So let me start where I left here. So Niall wanted to know if on the Lowrance Elite TI total scan for the Gulf, will there be a more in-depth chart coming out for Alabama, Florida, and the reefs? Friend has Garmin has more locations. So Niall, reefs are most of the reefs are government data and should be on ours as well. Check and make sure that you've got, you know, all the settings turned on and that you've got possibly SonarCharts on. You will see the wrecks. The wrecks do have an icon, and the reefs are generally in like a dotted square that you'll be able to see, but you should have them on there as well. Can you share the SD card between 2 GPS units? Adolfo, you can, as long as they are networked. I know Ray Marine will share it, as well as Lowrance and Simrad. So if you do have them networked, you can put it in one card, your master GPS head unit, and that will share to the others. Be more specific where the icons are. I can't see where you are pointing. Oh, sorry, Mark. I guess I missed that one early on. So icons generally are on the app anywhere. Let's see if I can give you a quick example here using my app. Bear with me just a moment. All right, so let's see here. Try to find an area here that's, well, that's navigation buoys. That's on Easy View. You can kind of see how they're all jumping out a little bit. So those are the different icons as far as buoys and that. If I run over here to, let's see, a marina. So you can see the little sailboat icons. Those are your, hopefully those are your marina icons. Again, all you want to do is be able to tap on the screen. It'll pull up the little crosshairs, and then tap the question mark, and it's going to pull up more information. There's the marina there up on by the sailboat, and then you can access more info on that particular icon. So I hope that helps a little bit on that. I also have a chip also from my boat. If there's an update from my phone, should update my boat chip. So Chris, to answer your question, anytime we do updates, it goes across all platforms. So it'll go across the mobile platform as well as charts. So yeah, so if you see changes on the iPhone, by all means, update your chart and you'll have the exact same thing on there. Can I sync my phone with my SD card? Again, the answer to that one was the plotter sync. Check our website for that. If you've got a plotter that has Wi-Fi, you will be able to connect your iPhone with our app to the chart and be able to sync your waypoints over. Dan, any reason my paid iPad Navionics app does not show dock-to-dock routing option, only shows automatic and manual? Good chance there is an update for your app. The automatic is, or depending on how old the app version is, should be your dock-to-dock. Originally, when we did the dock-to-dock, it listed as automatic. Since then, it's called dock-to-dock. But do check that. Make sure you've got the latest version of the app. John, same answer for you. What is a plotter? Sorry, Anthony, I'm using marine navionics term. So plotter is your graph or your GPS. I apologize, I didn't see that a little earlier. My route function does not show dock-to-dock waypoint, only automatic and manual. Same thing Jim has mentioned earlier. Do I need to buy the chart plotter in order to sync my iPad with my navigation system on my boat? So anonymous attendee, yes, you would need to have the Navionics chart, the app, and you would need the plotter, of course, if you're going to try to sync to a graph or a GPS or your electronics on your boat. Of course, now if you're trying to sync it from your iPhone or your iPad, as long as you're on the same account, it will show up on both. I don't see the advanced map options on my iPhone. Jim, check under your menu. Under the menu section, you should see your map options. Again, it could be an older version. If I bought GPS software, should I still buy phone software? So Brad, very good question. So one of the things we like to tout about with the Navionics app a little bit is it's not meant to be a replacement. You know, is it a great backup unit in case you have a problem? Absolutely. But where it comes in handy is really, you know, I'm sitting in my house now on king mackerel behind me, and I might head out this weekend on Saturday to fish. It's nice to be able to sit on my couch and figure out where I want to go. I can look at charts. I mean, a lot of us think a lot more about boating, fishing, sailing, cruising than we actually do it. So this is a way that you can sit here and have boating a part of your life anytime you want it. So one, it's that access. Two, you can create your waypoints while you're home. Three, if I'm going over to, you know, if I'm headed to California and I'm going to go fish my buddy Ollie, I can call him and say, hey, I'm going to open up my app and let's talk about where we're going to go tomorrow. So it allows you to live that lifestyle away from the boat, allows you to have a planning tool, a backup. So there's a lot of things that this does that will work with your electronics, not necessarily meant to replace it. How does this coordinate with Garmin? Currently, yes, we were purchased by Garmin. I don't have any answers for you on that, so I would tell you to stay tuned to the Navionics and Garmin website as that moves forward. Why can't I see you talking and nothing else? I can't answer that one. On my app, it says sonar not connected. What does that mean? Robert, that means that you're not connected Wi-Fi to your plotter or to your graph. So you want to make sure that you've got that connected properly to the Wi-Fi. It could be a couple troubleshooting options, could be a different user setting. It could be you need a Wi-Fi password. If you're having trouble, email us at help@navionics.com and our crack customer service team will try to get back to you within 24 hours and get you some answers. Pink and purple ducks. Ralph, my favorite question. So that is a co-marketing effort with Nintendo, where if you get your old little plastic orange gun, you can shoot. No, the pink and purple ducks are actually old watermarks. They used to indicate marine sanctuary areas, and they're a watermark so that the charts could not be duplicated. They are showing on some of the older charts and older graphs. The way to get rid of those, if you don't like them, is actually turn off restricted areas, and that will go away. But aside from that, they are meaningless in today's day and age. How do you keep the auto routing from creating inland route of stating an ocean route? I'm not exactly sure, Harley, what your question's there. The auto routing will work on whether you're inshore or offshore, so I'm not sure of your question. I ordered a Platinum Plus. Could I log into this app? The app does have to be purchased separately, as Apple and Google Play want their money. We would love to be able to connect the two, but at this time, we're not able to. Purple birds. How do I access contours? So John, to access contours, if it's on your phone, the easy thing to do is, and I should be able to show this to you. On the phone down the, let's see if I can show it on the camera, right down here is this little, looks like a little sonar icon. That is your sonar chart. So if I tap that, it's going to open up all these little options here. I know you can't read that too well, but that's where you turn on your sonar chart. That's how you see it on the app. If you're on your GPS, you want to go under your chart options, and depending on the age of your GPS unit, you're either going to turn on SonarChart or you're going to turn on the fishing chip. Now, if you've got a Navionics Plus USA, you want to make sure you've downloaded your local area first. We pre-program that with nautical data, which makes sure you've got safe boating. But if you want the extra contours, you need to download that so that you have that data, and it'll turn on once you get to the SonarChart layer. Sally, if you renew the app at $27.95, that is for the tablet, which is the HD version on the renewal. Hopefully you don't have that one on your phone. Fred, right now, as far as Garmin, can you connect the app to it? You can connect the Active Captain app to it, which is a Garmin product. But as of today, anyway, the Navionics app does not. Again, keeping a close eye on the Navionics website and Garmin for more information as that comes out. Let's see. I have a boat in Canada. Mark has a boat in Canada and one in Florida. How do I manage 2 sets of mapping from my iPad or PC? So, Mark, you can purchase on the app, if you're referring to that, the Navionics USA and Canada app, so you have both. Same exists also on a chart card, which is the Navionics Plus USA and Canada. Then everything will work seamlessly together wherever you go. Purchased a Navionics chip about 5 years ago for my Raymarine AC80. Can this be updated? So James, if it's about that old, you're right on the cusp. You probably have the ability to do it, but my guess is your chart card may be too small to hold all of the data that we now have. If that's the case, customer service will work with you if you renew it, and they'll get you the right chart size. Otherwise, you can purchase a card called a Navionics Update, and that will be activated by your old chart card, and you can download the areas you want. That's available at any retailer. Scanning through some of these doubles here. So we purchased a Raymarine Axiom chart plotter with Navionics Plus. Do we have to renew the Navionics Plus each year? Did I hear you say earlier that if you have Navionics, a chart player, you can get the app for free? No, Mike, can't get the app for free again. Wish we could, but Google and iTunes wants their money. You do need to renew that every year. It is half price on the chart. It is free for your first year when you bought it, so make sure you register. If you don't renew it the next year, does that mean that you can't do it the following? No. So if you wanted to skip a year for whatever reason, you're able to do that, but you can always renew it after that year, and it is half price. Can you back up the card if it's damaged or lost? No, do not try to access a Navionics card in any way. It is encrypted, and you could lose all of your files, and it won't be covered. So don't access the card, whatever you do. What are little pink anchors? That's the ducks. Okay, so the water level side, Chris. So the water level slide is based on where you want to see as far as the, if the water's raised or lowered. Once you adjust that, play with it on the app, and that's basically saying, hey, look, the water level's gone up 10 feet. I want to see what it actually looks like now. You bump it up 10 feet, it changes the contours. Same thing if the water level goes down. You guys have a lot of questions. I've got 15 more minutes. So I'm going to try to get to some more here. So what is the name of the Navionics Pro app? Alfonso, there's boating and marine. So the USA one, if you're just looking for the keys, you just want the Navionics USA. We don't do a specific region. It's just all the country, and then you just download the areas you want. So you just be able to get the Navionics USA app. Joe, good question. If I buy an app and load it on my iPhone or iPads, do I own it for only one price? I believe it does work on 5 different devices. So as long as it's under the same iTunes account, it will work on, I believe, again, 5 different devices. Any way to change the lat long format? Ron, not at this point in time, but if you've got a suggestion, email us on the feedback forum through the app. We'd love to hear it. Ruth Ann, yes, rocks, we do mark on the chart. So if they are known rocks, they are on all of our charts and apps. If you do find something that is not, please submit it to us and we'll add it, or best yet, add it as a community edit. And that will then go to all the iPhones and Droids across the world, letting people know there's rocks in that area. Jim, $9.99 version and a $49.99 version. The HD is your $49 or $50 version. That's for your iPads and your tablets. That's a higher def. If you try to put the iPhone one on it, your iPad will show the size screen of a mobile device, not the full HD. That is why that's a different price. Scrolling through. Any plans for the sync with Hummingbird? Robert, as of right now, there is no plotter sync with Hummingbird, but by all means, feel free to email them and bug them and say, when can I have plotter sync? Because we can certainly put it on their plotters as well. Mike, trading beer for fishing spots. There you go. There is a way to do it as far as adding, it depends on the plotter you have. I can't really address that at the moment, but of course you can add the lat long. You can add it on the app, but you certainly want to add it on your GPS as well. Can the app show alert for shallow depths? Gene, there is no audio alert at this point in time. However, there is on the app, if you are boating at least in Florida for the moment, a boating safety zone, a speed zone, or a manatee zone. If you're going through one of those areas and you have the app open, your speed will show in red, indicating that you are going too fast in those areas. There are countless no-wake zones, safety zones, and manatee zones through Florida. If you've got the app on, it will alert you. And I, for one, could have used it about 2 years ago, and I might have saved myself an $80 ticket. But it is now available, so you can bet your butt I have it on. Simrad is allowing dock-to-dock in the US. They just came out, I believe, a couple weeks ago. Jim, I'm not sure why you're not showing dock-to-dock function. Let me just check something real quick. Well, I've got automatic too, Jim. So guess what? The latest update looks like it's just showing on automatic. Interesting. Well, I should correct it. So if you don't show dock-to-dock and it's automatic, guess what? Automatic's dock-to-dock, so you should be fine. Just set up your settings so you have your boat depth in there. And thanks, Jim. Sorry to make you go through that, but yeah, mine's the same thing. It just says automatic, so I guess we changed that. Your price, if you had the app for a year, your price should be half price. You should not have to renew it at full price. I see somebody saying that it's full price. You should not have to pay full price. Okay, scanning through here. Latest version of the app, I don't have that handy at the moment. How do you turn off restricted areas? Ralph, under the chart options setting on the plotter or on your graph, you'll see under chart options, restricted areas. You just need to turn that off. You just got to search for it under the chart options feature. John uses his iPhone as a backup. You're absolutely right, John. Bear with me here. Seeing if there's some new ones here. Roman, I have the Navionics SD card. You make a little cheat sheet so I can learn the system before the boat is ready. I would encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. We do a lot of videos on that from our pro staff. That's probably going to be your best bet. On the app, and I know you're asking about the chart, but on the app itself, if you actually scroll down to under the menu to the help, you'll actually pull up a lot of the stuff. Let's see if I can get it here to show on my camera or not. It'll actually pull up, again, it's backwards, but you'll actually pull up a lot of information as far as how the app works. Again, that's under the main menu. There's the menu button. You hit that, scroll to the very bottom, and you'll see the help at the bottom. Let's see if I can show backwards here. Come on, camera. All right. Well, anyway, menu down the bottom of help, it'll show you a lot of the features, some of the stuff that we've gone over here. In the map options, there's an option which government chart, and what does that mean? So the government chart is what we used to have as the free version of the chart. Your Navionics is then your Nautical, and then the SonarChart is the 1 foot contours. How do I know my Navionics card was last updated? Nils, register on our website and plug the chart in. It'll tell you when it's due to be renewed. I checked my Droid setting, is connected to Wi-Fi, and I still do not get the SonarChart. What now? Bob. Bob, email help@navionics.com without my having you on the phone and kind of walk you through it. There's got to be something that we're missing. Don't want to push you off, but that's going to be the best bet. Email help@Navionics, include your cell phone number, mention you were on this webinar, and that you're trying to figure out how to connect the app, and it's just not connecting. So there's got to be a setting somewhere. We'll figure it out and help you. Navionics Plus on Alfonso, just search the iTunes store, put in Navionics, it'll come up. Let's see here. I'm trying to scroll through these, get to some others. Jim, popular question. Purchased the Navionics app on another lost phone. You might be one of those people that dropped it overboard. Can I download the app in my new phone without getting billed again? Yes, because it is associated with your iTunes or Google account. Once you click on it to buy it, it will say you already purchased it and it will download it. They should not bill you again. Scott, friend told me Samsung is better than iPad when using Navionics because Samsung has a card and you're not charged for using data. Scott, you shouldn't be charged for using data other than when you download the map. Once you're actually, using using the app and you're offshore or you're wherever you happen to be boating, it's going to use either your cell signal or it's going to use the GPS. It is not downloading data. So it's not like Google Maps where it has to keep downloading. Its map is already on your phone and it's then putting your position there. So there is no additional data that it's downloading. So you're covered there. But generally speaking, he could be right. I'm not overly familiar with Samsung on other apps, but on our app, no. Once you've downloaded it, that's your data. Absolutely, Andre. You can save battery using airplane mode. Very, very good point. If you're offshore and you're going to be out boating or cruising or sailing or fishing all day, putting it on airplane mode is a great way to save battery life. Okay, I'm going to try to scoot over here. I've got another 5 minutes or so. There's a bunch of questions on the right. Let's see if I can get through some of these. Some purple birds. Did you say that I have all the features of the paid version with the trial version? Doug, yes, on the trial version, you will get all of the paid versions for 14 days. That is correct. A little bit of duplicates here. How long is the 15-day free trial going to run for? Could be a smart guy here and say, well, it's 15 days, but I think you mean on how long you can do it. So that's part of our app. If you're first looking at the app, that's just part of, it's not something that's going to shut off, at least that we've discussed at this point in time. So it's an opportunity when people that don't have the app, we want you to see all the features. We want you to understand the value that we provide on the app. So that is our free trial. We want you to enjoy it and say, yep, this is something I want to do. Rather than, just pay the $10. I mean, if you know you want it, spend the $10, get it. But if you're kind of on the fence, that's why we have that free trial. At this point in time, I don't see us taken away. It's not a, Navionics CTO limited offer for 5 days. It is solely a how we sell the product. Now, if you are a CTO member, do see CTO about deals on Navionics charts. If you are a CTO member, there is discounts on a Navionics chart. All right. Thank you, everyone, for all the compliments. I very much appreciate that. I know I talk a little fast, but I like to do do a lot of questions at the end, is usually, as you see, there was 138 questions at the end of this webinar. So I try to get to them the best I can. And I appreciate all the compliments and hope it was educational for everybody here. Again, if you've got more questions, please do visit the Navionics website, or if you've got the app, again, it's free, iTunes Store or Google Play Store. Take a look for it. You can check out the free trial. I do very much want to thank our friends at CITO for helping put this webinar together and emailing all the members. And thank you for all of you for attending tonight. Very much appreciate the fantastic turnout. Makes me feel good to have the opportunity to talk to so many boaters, sailors, cruiser, and fishermen out there. So with that, I'll bid everyone a good night. Thank you again for attending. And I did take some notes, and I will talk to our friends at CITO about possibly doing some, specific plotter-related webinars to try to help on how some of those work, and see if we can't get some of our plotter friends to join us on those and co-hosting. Again, thank everyone. Safe boating and good fishing.